going here. All right. Hey, welcome everybody. It is 7 o'clock. Sci-Fi Distilled. However, how you doing, Mary Beth?
I'm doing all right. Welcome to May.
It is May, and it means it's Star Wars month.
Today's May 1st. That means Saturday.
Saturday is May the 4th. Yes. Yep. And of course, me being Rebel Legion, I will be actually in Manchester.
Oh, fun. Oh, that'd be awesome.
I know you're not far from there. We're going to be at the comic book shop, and I don't know the name of it. They're doing kind of a free comic book day. I guess it is also a free comic book day. And they're going to do like a mini con. So they're going to have some other vendors there at this fairly large. So we'll be there. The 501st and Rebel Legion will be there, among other places. Obviously.
Well, that is cool. If you can find the name of that store, pop it onto the Sci-Fi.
I will. I'll look it up at some point. Yeah.
Because some of us New Englanders may want to.
So 10 a.m. I think 10 to 5. I think the event goes. So I'll be there in my pilot outfit.
Cool. Hello, everyone.
So
may the force
be with you. And Jeff, Doc, how are you? Nice. Thanks for joining us. So this week we're going to do kind of like we did with Star Trek. We're going to do what we don't like about Star Wars. We're going to do all the way from the original movies all the way up to the current stuff, including TV shows. And then, of course, next week we're going to do what we do like about Star Wars. And then we're off for the Trek Ticonderoga week.
We are off.
And then we're going to come back with something Star Wars to wrap things up, and I don't know what that is exactly.
We'll figure it out.
You guys tell us.
Maybe I have all Star Wars.
Bad Batch will be wrapped by then, right?
Yes, I believe the Bad Batch wraps today. Today's the finale.
They're dropping the last one. I'm still I'm like 3 or 4 episodes behind.
Oh, I really next week when we're talking good stuff, I'm going to talk about Bad Batch because I'm enjoying it.
Stuff. So anyway, we have news. So
I have all Star Wars news tonight.
All Star Wars all the time.
All Star Wars all the time. After a ridiculously long wait, the game Star Wars Hunters is here. This is a team-based battle arena shooter from Zynga and Lucasfilm Games. It arrives June 4th for Android, iOS, Nintendo Switch, and it features a fast-paced multiplayer clashes across maps inspired by classic locales such as Hoth or Endor. So if you really want to get into some classic Star Wars and I guess hunt other people, I can't get the gist of this game, but that's for you. Lego Star Wars is celebrating its 25th anniversary. How has it been 25 years of Star Wars Legos? I guess it has. Whatever. They are celebrating its 25th. Huh?
Easily 25 years.
Yeah, I guess so, man. I don't know, man. Time flies. They are celebrating. They have some new Lego kits out there, including one that is a Lego TIE Interceptor. It does look really, really cool. But more importantly, they have a cute new short little video. Josh Rhimes, VP of Animation Development and Production at Lucasfilm, said, we look for moments across all eras, movies, TV shows, and even games, allowing beloved and iconic characters of the galaxy to all come together in a humorous and heartfelt fashion. I believe that short dropped today. Look for that on Disney+. The whole of Tales of the Empire will debut on Disney Plus on Saturday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Tales of the Empire. I don't know if you guys watched Tales of the Jedi. It was the one that showed Ahsoka as a baby and like a bunch of Dooku when he was younger. It was like a whole bunch of Jedi tales. Well, Tales of the Empire, that was like all focused on the light side, and Tales of the Empire is going to focus on the dark side. All 6 shorts drop on Saturday, and this is the first dark side centric show before the dark side centric live action show starts, The Acolyte. The Acolyte will be dropping on Disney Plus in June. If you guys want to get some Star Wars Day merch, there will be sales on Amazon, Target, Walmart, Macy's, American Tourister, which is luggage, but I guess there's Star Wars luggage, Box Lunch, Dark Horse, and much, much more, including StarWars.com. So go check that out. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, returns to theaters May 3rd in honor of both Star Wars Day and the 25th anniversary of the film's release. How has it been 25 years since the Phantom?
1998, 99, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Time flies when you're busy hating on stuff. This re-release is going to be accompanied by exclusive footage from The Acolyte. And then, of course, check your local events pages because their cities, Denver, Tampa, Chicago, Vegas, and many, many more all have local stuff going on for Star Wars days. Like Rizzo's going to be at the comic book store. So
I just posted the address. It's Double Midnight Comic.
Midnight. Awesome.
So yeah, that's in Manchester.
And that's in Manchester. So that's it, guys. That's what's going on for Star Wars. There probably will be more throughout the month. Because isn't there like another Star Wars Day at the end of the month? Like, isn't May?
Well, that's what I've always said. You see, Star Wars is the New Testament. This May 4th, and I'm more of an Orthodox holiday because May 25th, 77 is the original Star Wars.
5/25/77.
5/25/77.
We might need to go revisit Patrick Reed Johnson's.
Yeah. So So to me, that's always, of course, like most fans, it's the whole month. We just stretched it out.
It's the whole month of May. All Star Wars, all Rizzo, what are we drinking tonight? While we
do have a drink, and I meant to put it up, but this is it's called Rancor's Toothpick. So it's bourbon Cynar, which is
isn't that just a femur bone? Like,
what's that? Sweet vermouth.
Didn't the Rancor have like a femur or something? That maybe.
Well, that's how Luke kind of he jammed it in his mouth.
Jammed it, yeah.
He doesn't really pick his teeth. He's an animal, but.
What is Cynar?
It's an Italian liqueur that's actually vegetable based, and its primary ingredient, believe it or not, is artichoke. Very odd. Yeah, the Italians use everything to make alcohol.
Fascinating.
You're Italian. You must have had grappa.
Yes, I know what grappa is. I just never.
Well, you know what that's made from.
Well, it's the dregs.
It's what's like all the sticks and seeds and skins of the wine of the grapes.
Yes,
they brew that into a horribly strong and nasty.
It will kill you.
It's basically.
And they put it in this bowl that has has like 4 spouts, and everyone gets, and then you pass it, and they drink from the other spout.
It's not good. It's really no. I'm not a grappa fan.
It's strong.
Yeah. So anyway, So we're gonna start with the original trilogy, I guess, and 10
out of 10, no notes.
Yeah, I really don't have anything, and of course I'm very biased because that is Star Wars to me, is the original trilogy. I don't have a lot of negative to say. Lucas always said that the movie was made for children. It wasn't really meant to be. He admitted that, yes. But so it does have a lot of those qualities. It is a very simple story when you come down to it. It is strictly a good versus evil, and they don't really get into nuances until much later in the movies and TV shows. But what my biggest issue is with the original trilogy is his re-editing and his remastering of them, and I think that's where most people's angst or ear comes from. And I remember when they did re-release it, we were kind of excited because I remember I saw them again in the theater, the new versions, and they made a big show of it. They had actors come in dressed up as characters and introducing things. And one guy, I remember he went through and they showed a whole film of all the blooper stuff. The stormtrooper hitting his head when he goes into the control room, and Mark Hamill's shouting out Carrie instead of Leia at the end when he gets out of the X-wing, and which they never fixed that, by the way. They tried to cover it over, but they never actually fixed.
You have to listen for it, but it's there.
It's there. Yeah, he says Carrie. So that's my king, because again, it didn't need to be done. It was done with CGI of the early 90s, which really is, if you watch those now, they don't hold up. They look bad. They look worse than the original effects
all the animals into Mos Eisley, like
The whole
changing the
addition
way
to
the
Mos
Death
Eisley was
Star
unnecessary.
blew. Making, you know what really ruined it? When Han runs around the corner and sees the troopers and then he turns
Right,
around and
there
runs
was
back.
only like
Now
a
he
half a
runs,
dozen
and there was only a
originally.
few, yeah.
Yeah,
And then he runs and there's like a whole battalion. I hate
that's
that.
another thing. Yeah,
I
that's
don't
not
like that.
necessary. It wasn't necessary. And of course,
Unnecessary.
the biggest egregious mistake that was made is Han shot first. You know,
Yes.
we all know Han shot first. Why they decided to change that again, Lucas? What are you doing? Why?
We were
Why are you
okay
doing
with
this
it.
to us?
We were 1,000% okay with Han shooting first. Like it did not bother us.
No, it didn't diminish. He was still
It
one of our
didn't
favorite
diminish.
characters, and
We still
we
loved him.
didn't look down on him for doing it. We knew what the type of person he was. You know,
That was
and
character building right there.
it was great because you're like, to me, it was like one of the things that drew me into Firefly right away. When I watched Firefly, the original, I watched it on the premiere night on that Friday night in 2002, and they showed the train job was the first episode because they showed him out of order. And there's the scene where Mal's trying to give the money back, and he's like, you know, and the guy's like, wherever you go, I'm gonna hunt you down, and you never, you know. And he kicks the guy, and any guy goes into the engine, he gets sucked into the engine that was idling next to him, and he just, that's it. So he gets the next guy, and he goes, okay, he goes, yes, yes. The guy's like, yes, yes, it's best for both of us. I agree. That scene alone is what endeared me to Firefly, because you didn't see that kind of thing generally. You wouldn't see the alleged good guy just kicked some guy into the running engine.
And you know what? Harrison Ford kind of leaned into it because do you remember in Indiana Jones there was the scene it was because he was ill, like he was sick on set that day, but he was going to have a whole whip fight or something with this guy.
Oh,
and
they did the gun.
So he was like, oh, and he just took out the gun and shot him.
Yeah.
You remember that scene?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like I don't know. We're okay with it. We get it. We like our Harrison as a scoundrel. We're like totally okay with that.
Yeah, so that was the thing, and then of course they added the scene with Jabba, which remember Jabba was never in the original
Unnecessary.
movie.
We were
they
okay
did shoot it. It was cutting room floor footage. They did shoot it, and it was supposed to be a guy, a human.
Yeah,
Jabba.
it was a Scottish dude,
not originally like a big lizard dude. I think they try to smooth it. Oh no, it was always shot, and they just put this guy in his place just for no. I said they shot it with the intention of using it that way.
Yeah,
and they just took the footage and then digitally added the big fat lizard Jabba version or slug version. So, yeah, I don't buy this. Oh yeah, we meant it to do that all along. No, you didn't.
Yeah, I completely agree with all those points. I know a lot of people like to once we got all three, out. Once we get to Jedi, people like to look back and go, "Wait a minute." Like, okay, wait, they were brother and sister. They were snogging. Or Vader had Leia. How did he not sense she was his daughter? Like, I get it. There's plot holes. It never bothered us. Like, I don't know why, but we all just kind of rolled with it, like collectively as a group.
Yeah. I mean, are they perfect? Of course not.
No, but we loved them. We loved them for what they were.
They were, and I've always said that really Empire is out of the three movies, Empire is really the best movie.
Absolutely, yes.
The New Hope will always be kind of the one my favorite because it
in our heart, yeah.
The one that turned everything on, so to speak. But I don't really have a lot of negativity on Empire. I mean, and even at least with Empire, the changes they made in the re-edit were not
as egregious.
Yeah, they were just added some stuff to Cloud City, and I can't think of even what they added. Not that much. I try to think, what did they add? They didn't really change much in Empire.
Jeff just said, I didn't mind mostly re-edits except for the Wampa in Empire standing there with one arm missing. I remember Luke in the snow cave, frozen, stuck upside down on the ceiling, and he forces his lightsaber. And I remember him hacking at the Wampa, but I don't remember an edit with the Wampa's arm. I guess maybe there was, yeah.
Well, there was a whole sub story they were going to do with the Wampa, and they were like behind the wall.
Yes, wasn't the Wampa supposed to be in their base?
Yeah, at Echo Base. Yeah. By the way, Julian, yes, you are correct. This is a Heroes and Villains Best. That's where I did get it from. Just answering his question. Anyway, yeah. So, and in Jedi again, what did they add? Most of the stuff again was kind of they expanded. well, I think the biggest mistake they did in Jedi was changing. They put in, of course, later they added, what's his name, Hayden's face in
Oh yeah, I didn't like that.
for
I
Anakin.
didn't like that.
No, I didn't
He
like
was
that because it
old
didn't make any
later.
sense because nobody else.
Nobody knew who. Yeah.
Well, nobody else knew. Well, they did. They did it after the prequels came out.
So we knew who Hayden
So
was,
they
but
did another Reddit.
yeah,
But the thing is like Obi-Wan was old as a Force ghost.
exactly,
Nobody was different from when they died
exactly.
as a
So
Force ghost. Why was he all of a sudden
Anakin be
younger? Now I know the argument's going to be, well, that's when he turned when he was young, so that he went back to when his last point of being a good Jedi was. And I guarantee you that's the answer that they would give you. I still call shenanigans, but whatever.
Yeah, I call shenanigans too. The only thing, so in Jedi, the only thing, like none of us really liked Ewoks, but then in later years, like by the time we get to Jar Jar Binks, suddenly Ewoks are looking just fine. So I'm not even gonna complain about Ewoks right now.
Yeah, well, again, him always putting in the cutesy stuff. I mean, we kind of started with
merchandise.
Yeah, it was partly, and again, it was aiming at children. Again, well, I think by that point, certainly once they realized there was a huge market for merchandise.
By that point, he absolutely should have known that there's more than just kids.
But we all know we love the cantina scene, partly because of all the aliens in it. It was a great scene. It was something. So he tried to recreate that again. The Ewoks clearly were another version of 3PO and R2D2. Those were the original 3PO and R2D2 were the endearing little cutesy thing that we liked. And then there really wasn't anything in Empire. Empire was just dark through the whole thing.
Empire was just dark and
then we get to
Carbonite,
and they had to add some more, which we have the Ewok, the little cutesies. Yeah. Hi Sue, how are you? So Bill, you're saying when I saw New Hope, I felt there was no way they could do a better sequel.
Empire was a good sequel.
Apparently, George said, "Hold my beer."
George said, "Hold my beer."
His Empire was a favorite sequel.
Hi, Dennis. Everyone's here tonight. Hello, everyone.
Really, that's all my complaining is about the original trilogy. And I know I am well aware that I am biased, and there's probably people that are fans of the prequels and can pick apart the original trilogy.
We all are, but we're all of an age. So I think you're safe here. All of us here agree with you. The original trilogy is in our heart. We will not criticize it too hard. We will recognize its flaws, but we will still love it just the same. Now let's move on to the prequels,
prequels. Well, okay. The biggest error in the prequels, one of the glaring mistakes they made, and I think they know they made it because they walked it back, is midichlorians.
Oh, yes.
When we talked about the prequel, I had Alex on, and we were talking about the prequels. We didn't even really touch on midichlorians. And now they just, how they refer. You notice how in Bad Batch,
M
count. M count.
It's M count. It's midichlorians. I completely agree that it was so grossly unnecessary, and it just ruined the Force for all of us.
Exactly. That the Force was great because the Force was just the Force. We didn't know. The whole point of Star Wars is there's no explanation for anything, and there doesn't need to be. The science doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have to. The Force doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have to. It's not like Star Trek where you kind of have to make, it doesn't fit.
Explanation or surrounds us and binds us. That was fine.
That's kind of energy force, that we somehow that people are able to tap into and some people can't. I think that was enough. That was enough explanation. Well, the whole thing where they can jump across the galaxy in a few hours or days, never really, even at light speed, doesn't,
Yeah, Julian wants to know how was it walked back. It wasn't mentioned again.
They walked it back in the sense that they just stopped mentioning it.
They stopped mentioning it, and now they just call it M count. They won't even say the word. Oh, actually, on Bad Batch, they did say the word once during exposition. They had an exposition.
Yeah, they kind of for people that didn't see the prequels.
For those of you who didn't see the prequels, yeah.
So but I'm just saying they toned it way down because it got such a
If they were gonna dive into that, that was a bad.
I mean, they could have just, if they needed to somehow gauge Force power, they could have come up with something more clever than a blood test.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was like, have some kind of holocron thingy looking thing, and they hold
raise an X-wing up out of a swamp. That's really all.
Or they just somehow their own aura will make something, some Jedi looking device glow
At
or
the
something.
end of the sequels, there's the very end of the sequels, the kid Force grabs the broom. Do you remember the very end? The very like the last scene is a little kid Force pulling a broom over to him so he can do his chores. And I think that's all you like. Kids are gonna be obviously Force sensitive. Like in Bad Batch, there's that one little baby thing that threw a vase or something.
Yeah,
and just used the Force to get it out, and he didn't mean it. He was trying to get out of the way so he could get a toy or something. But yeah, I think kids who are Force sensitive are gonna just show themselves.
They're gonna show it. But I'm just saying, you think a Jedi, since with all their sense, they can sense things going on in the Force. They could sense again that this person is somehow in tune. So that's one thing that we don't like.
Yeah, Julian is saying my main beef with the prequels is no way Natalie Portman falls for Hayden.
Well, there's
no way Natalie Portman
talked about that. I don't know
if
you saw our defense of the prequel that we
did defend it. Yes,
and that was one of the things that I had a problem with, their age difference and kind of thing. But the Julian, what was brought up in that was that basically Anakin was manipulating her through using the Force to
make
he
was manipulating her. Yeah.
So, which is entirely possible. I think that's
what woman, when her man comes home and he says, I killed them all. I killed the women and the younglings. I killed all of them. She goes, okay, sweetie, you had a bad day.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like you say that, but then we know that there are women that will stand by their murdering husband.
I suppose that's
all
true.
The time, or marry the guy. That's
right. He was Force manipulating her, and their age difference. Like I could kind of see her maybe going for Hayden, but when he was still a little kid, like once you know someone as a little kid, that's it. Game over. You're not gonna fall for them, probably.
If in fact like Lucas or something comes out and says, yeah, that's what happened, he Force manipulated her, it wasn't really love. That's Lloyd, that's going to be like wicked creepy for me.
Wicked creepy.
I'm like, it's just, I don't really, that puts a very dark spin on Star Wars in general. And I don't really care. I hope that's not the case.
We've already, Luke and Leia snogged. Maybe Star Wars is just creepy that way in general.
They didn't know they were brother and sister.
They know they were brothers. Sure.
I don't think even, as much as he denies it, I don't think Lucas knew they were brother and sister.
I don't think Lucas knew either. No. What the hell?
He clearly he didn't. You know what? Here's why I think he didn't, because they basically had Alan Dean Foster write Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and that was originally written as a sequel.
Yes.
That was going to be the sequel. And if you read that book, Luke and Leia canoodle a little bit.
Oh, there's canoodling.
So if Lucas is going to say, hey, they're from the get-go that they're brother and sister, then I think he would have let Alan know and not
given him a heads up. So anyway, back to the prequels. Yeah, the whole thing. I did enjoy Liam Neeson's performance. I always enjoyed what's his bucket as Obi-Wan there.
As we said, yes, I agree. There are,
and I love their fight with Maul.
They did that was one thing that we definitely saw, was the lightsaber battles were taken up to a new notch, where probably where they should be.
But let me hit something on the sequels that I think we can all agree is bad. Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, I don't know if Alex is watching or not, but sorry, Alex. Jar Jar sucks.
Jar Jar's bad news, man.
My
heart broke for Ahmed Best. Ahmed Best is the actor that played him. They did have him back to play a Jedi in Ahsoka, was it? Or maybe it was the Kenobi series.
Yeah.
It was one of those. But Jar Jar bad. Jar Jar made Ewoks look great. Like I yearned for Ewoks to come back again after I met Jar Jar.
Yeah, he was trying to put in a comic relief, cutesy character that kids might find him funny, but it just backfired. And I think because by the time we get to the prequels, there's a lot of people of our generation that are hardcore original fans, and we see this character and we're like, WTF. Now I love the theories that he's really a dark Sith Lord.
Yeah, Drunken Master. I love those too. I wish they.
I don't think it's true. Yeah, there goes.
I wish they had gone that way. I think it would have added so much, and there's so much they could have done with it. But no, he's just
That would
dumb.
have been, I don't know, it would have been ridiculous if that had actually been the thing that he was just kind of like the
And
dopey.
he's the idiot that gives the power back to Palpatine in the Senate too.
Right. Well, that's all part of the conspiracy of how
Which is part of the
the theory
conspiracy.
that he was in on it. But my thing is really, you really look at it as what the way it was portrayed in the movie. He was just being manipulated by Palpatine.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like he came up with this on his own. He was basically Padme, and he put me in, you know, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So it's a funny, I'm sure that they'll never come out and say, oh yeah, Jar Jar was really the Sith Lord the whole time. What aggravated me, another thing about the first movie, and it aggravated me when I first saw it, was, you know, they were so hyped up, Darth Maul. Like, we saw him in, like, he looked like the new Darth Vader, or what would be the pre-Darth Vader.
Yeah, I thought there
he was going to be the badass. And
I mean,
they
we
kill
will
him off
see
in
him
the
later
first movie.
in Clone Wars or Rebels, whichever
He
one.
comes back, right?
We will see him later, but you're absolutely right. I thought he was going to be.
They only brought him back again because people were like, "Why did you kill this great character off so fast?"
Yeah,
like literally, he had nothing. Like, he was supposed to, because in the advertising for the film, we saw him a lot, and we're like, "Oh, there's new baddie, and he looked evil, and he looked, you know." And then we get to, and then he just gets cut in half by Obi-Wan, and that's the end of that. And you're like, "Oh, well, that's lame." Like, you know, we thought at least I would decide bring him into the beginning of the third movie and then maybe have him killed.
Yeah, agree. We needed a little more. The other thing that was happening, was this happening in the prequels? Was the whole baby Boba. Or actually we met Jango.
We met Jango, who was
and then we met baby Boba.
Well, yeah, we met Jango was
the
template for all the clones, and then he had Boba made unaltered, so to speak.
And that could have been so much more interesting. And I don't know, somehow it just didn't.
Julian is
saying, I
gotta
say, a lot of this stuff the Clone Wars redeemed. Like, the Clone Wars redeemed so much
show,
from those prequels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just reading some of the comments, Julian is saying the idea that you could put a blockade for an entire planet with like 20 starships.
Well, if you have enough firepower, I guess.
It didn't sound like Naboo was very warlike. Like, they had some ships, but they didn't seem like they were really prepared. I don't know. That's a good point, but I guess again, that's Star Wars. We don't ask those kind of questions.
Yeah, Star Trek you can analyze.
You know, I think Harrison Ford. Actually, I think it's Mark Hamill tells a good story. He's talking to Harrison Ford, and it was about the compactor scene, and they're all wet and in this dirty water, and then they come out and their hair's all perfectly blow dried, and Mark kind of points it out. He goes,
"There's a continuity
out of this thing, and you know, and we're all dry and everything's clean, and you know, why aren't we all dirty and everything?" And Harrison just goes, "Because it's not that kind of movie, kid."
If they're looking at your hair, we're in trouble.
If you're looking at your hair, you're looking at the wrong movie.
He was right. It's not that kind of movie, kid. Just roll with it. Just roll with it.
You got to hear Mark Hamill. I think if you look it up on YouTube, you'll hear Mark.
Yeah, because then Mark imitates Harrison.
Mark does his voice really good. Yeah, so it's a good story, but it's true because we all pointed that out. Even I noticed that. Everybody noticed it. They came out and their hair's like,
they came out clean and dry.
Yeah. So,
and Mark got completely dunked too, so he should have been wet and dirty, but oh well.
So I never thought that Maul was in a bad Halloween. I thought he looked pretty good.
I liked him. I was okay, Maul. I liked his cool double-ended.
Now apparently Ray Park, who played, not only he did the sword fighting, but he also played the character because he didn't have a lot of lines. Ray Park does quite a bit of Comic-Cons. Yes, and he will do a lightsaber training demo thing. So I think Alex got to do that, I think, once, and she was telling me about it. So that would be really cool.
That is really cool. Yeah.
Anyway, so that would be the first prequel. The second one, again, the love story issue with Padme and Anakin. And I don't like Anakin. They just kept him as that whiny little.
When does he grow up and be Hayden? How long is he Jake Lloyd, and when does he become Hayden? We only have Jake for one movie, right? And
one movie, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Right. As soon as we get to Clone Wars, I don't know.
And they're all running around with the braid, right? They all get the stupid rat tail braid.
Like what? Like, how old was he supposed to be in
9?
he was like 8, 9 years old, I guess. So, or 10 at the most. So you figure it's about 8 to 10 years later when we get to Clone Wars. Like there's a huge gap, and that's when he's more trained and hanging out with Obi-Wan and all that.
And running around with Ahsoka.
Right. And well, Ahsoka's gone by this point, right? Oh no, he's supposedly training Ahsoka, right? We don't see her because she didn't exist at that point.
She didn't exist.
Yeah.
But in the timeline, this is before he meets her.
For Clone War, yes. For the Clone War movie.
Gets a little fuzzy.
Yeah, Attack of the Clones, excuse me. I gotta get the terminology right. So I think you're right. For timelines, it was right. That takes place right before he meets her. And then, but again, he's kind of very whiny. You don't like him at all. And maybe that was intentional. I don't know. I found him annoying.
Well, maybe it was they meant to be copying Luke. Because remember, Luke was straight up whiny. And we didn't notice it. Like, we were just too young to notice.
Get some parking burgers.
I was going to go to Tashi Station.
Get some parking burgers.
Yeah. Were they meant to evoke that?
I don't know. That's a Lucas question. I don't know if he meant to do it. I think he meant to. I think with Luke, I think he was going for he's only about 17, 18 years old in A New Hope. And I think he was just going that he was very farm boyish, very
insecure,
immature, and that kind of thing. My problem with Anakin is after he's now been with Obi-Wan for, let's say, 10 years, learning Jedi techniques, and he's still kind of he didn't settle down, like he didn't get it, like he's still kind of,
No, he fought, and when Palpatine baited him, he took the bait. Yeah. Oh, hi, Dennis Chevalier. Jeff Rubel is saying he kind of wished Anakin had been someone who was wise beyond his years, who had so much integrity that no one would have thought he would have turned to the dark side. It would have made the fall that much bigger. Yeah, that's true. I don't know, man. Jeff, if you haven't watched the Clone Wars, go watch the Clone Wars. It fleshes the Anakin character out so much more
better. Yeah,
and you like him, like you genuinely like him, and you're heartbroken when he falls.
And you see more why he turned.
And you see more why he turned.
There's more to it. There's more depth.
There's more to it than just Padme or Panda Bear or whatever her name was. He's crying about his Panda Bear. Did you ever see that robot chicken?
No.
Oh my God.
Padme, yeah. So. Yeah, I agree. They did correct a lot of stuff with Clone Wars, and believe me, I know Clone Wars is not it's a kid show, but it's not. It's actually pretty violent.
It's actually quite good. It's a great story.
The first couple seasons are a little bit fluffy.
You could probably jump into season 3 and be fine.
Yeah, it really kind of takes off. The thing is, the only thing I would say don't do that is the Ahsoka character.
You need to see her grow too, because she grows a lot.
Like Dave Filoni, that he will tell you that the whole intention was when you first watch Clone Wars, you're supposed to dislike Ahsoka.
Yeah,
that was the point, and that you would eventually, over the arc of the show, that she matures, and you end up, and it works. You do. You find her annoying, just like Anakin and Luke was. Annoying and everything like that. And then as she grows as a character, she grows on you, and you end up loving her character by the end.
Yeah.
So he did that flawlessly. They wrote that character. So yeah, if you haven't seen Clone Wars, I can't stress it enough.
Run.
And then
Run, don't walk.
And Rebels again.
And probably Rebels.
If you're trying to catch up with the modern Ahsoka stuff, you have to watch Rebels.
Yeah, and then you can watch the Rosario Dawson version.
Yeah. Exactly, and then you'll get more about Ahsoka, and you'll get who Sabine is, and Hera is, and Chopper,
and Chopper, and all that. Yeah. Have we beaten up on the prequels enough? Should we go beat up on the sequels now?
Or we haven't really gotten to the last one, but
all right, get to that last one,
which was the best of those three.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, it's Palpatine. I liked seeing Palpatine wield his.
I thought they did some bold stuff in the last movie.
Whatever, but I liked Palpatine.
The whole scene where he goes into the Jedi Temple and he just murders all those kids.
Yeah, that's dark.
I mean,
that's dark. Yeah,
I thought that was very dark for Star Wars.
Very dark for Star Wars. Yes.
So I don't know if I don't really say that's a complaint. It's just an observation. I think it really wanted you to. I think he did it to push you to the point that he's gone. I mean, there's no coming back from this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At least not easily.
Yeah.
So, from that standpoint, but I don't have a lot of negative stuff. I mean, the sword, this lightsaber battle on Mustafa there.
That was good. Like, I have the high ground. It's over, Anakin.
Whatever the name of that volcano planet is.
Yeah, Mustafa or whatever.
Yeah, it was interesting, and
it was good. I liked it. I liked Anakin's angst. Like, you were the chosen one. Like, I liked that.
You could feel the pain in his voice. What I found wrong about that scene, and I know why it had to be that way, because Anakin had to live. But
yeah, we need Darth Vader.
If that was your situation, and you knew if Obi-Wan knew that all is lost, and he's obviously he walks away thinking he's dead or dying. Why wouldn't you just give him the final blow, cut his head off, whatever?
Yeah, he
should have out of his misery and walk away at that point.
He should have made sure it was done.
Yeah. It was done, and that if he really was your friend, that he's just not going to let him suffer.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Did he care about this kid at all?
So I thought that was pretty dark of Obi-Wan to do.
It was, and the way that scene plays out kind of makes, when you go forward and watch the Kenobi series, those scenes didn't they just didn't follow, and they didn't jive.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people had a problem with that, and so, all right, so we can move out of the prequels. So now, what are we into? The
let's do sequels, because Rose, Finn, those characters.
The problem was JJ. I think
the problem was JJ.
The problem is what they should have done.
Something we also say about Star Trek. Anyway,
yeah, what they should have done is, in hindsight is always 2020. Back in the 90s, instead of starting to make the prequels, they should have continued the original cast story and done the Heir to the Empire.
They should have done the whole Mara Jade plot line.
The whole Mara Jade thing.
I completely agree. We should have met Thrawn at that point
back then, and I think it would have been epic.
Completely agree.
Because it would have made more sense. You would have had, it makes sense that there's a pocket of the Empire that's still kind of out there, but they're not. They're broken up, and then they get a guy that's going to basically rally them.
Yeah,
and become a threat again to the New Republic. But he didn't do that for whatever reason. He decided he wanted to do I would have thought prequels would have been better now, or just not done them at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Did we need to know? We know what happened with Darth Vader. Essentially, we know that he went to the dark side. We don't need to know all the details, in my opinion.
Well, now we're finding out about, so the sequels, now we're finding out about Palpatine, sort of, in a very backward kind of way.
In what? In like the Mandalorian series and stuff? Like what?
No, in the sequel, like Snoke, like all of that. Yeah, you're right. Mandalorian and Bad Batch is fleshing all of that out.
All that stuff is driving towards the return of the Force Awakens trilogy, I call it, because that's where the whole thing with Snoke is a clone, because that's where, remember, like in the Mandalorian, Gustavo there, what's his name, Moff Gideon. The whole thing is they're working on cloning and working with and stealing that. Even in Bad Batch, look what they're doing. That's
what they're doing in Bad Batch. Yeah,
to clone a Force capable person. So that, again, that's all driving to make that make more sense, the Snoke thing. So to me, it's like, again, you put the cart before the horse. You gave us this doesn't make any sense, and now we're trying to backfill.
Yeah.
To try to make it fit. The problem with the Force Awakens is the story is just a rehash of A New Hope in a lot of ways. Like, instead of a Death Star, we have a Death Planet.
A lot of ways, it was plot point by plot point.
Yeah, I mean, it was just it was
A New Hope all over again, but different people, and it just didn't.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know if they were trying to say this is Star Wars for a new generation.
It didn't. It just, I don't know, man.
It just didn't work for me at all.
You and I talked about this before the show. Yeah, for nostalgia purposes, we prefer our nostalgia served up the way Picard season 3 was served up. We do not prefer this version of nostalgia. It's not gonna.
Well, if they're gonna do what they did, not that I like it, don't even bring Han and Leia and Luke into it.
Right.
Just
So
leave them out of it.
and,
Just bring it up new
their
characters and
plan
go.
was the first movie was gonna be Han's movie. The second movie was one movie was gonna be Luke's, and one movie was gonna be Leia's. And unfortunately, Carrie passed, so we will never get Leia's movie. We got whatever it is we got the third movie there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they were trying to pull on those nostalgia strings by weaving them in, but
yeah, it didn't work.
And Lando,
they
had Lando in there.
Good interviews with Mark Hamill about that too, and they're like doing this stuff, and then he's like,
"Oh, didn't he disagree?"
Like, at the end of the first movie, all you do is he just turns around, like that's my whole scene. I don't say anything. I don't do anything. That's just it. Yeah, and he was like,
and you're like,
and none of them really. Harrison really didn't want to come back and do any of this. Mark didn't really want to come back and do anything. I don't know what Carrie's opinion was, but I think the only one that was jonesing at the bit is what's his name, 3PO there.
Anthony
Daniels, because he's always willing to do something.
Is that the end of that movie when she finally makes it to that island and she finds Luke, and we were all supposed to be like, oh my god, it's Luke. No, it didn't work. We're like, yeah, whatever. When we all went, do you remember in The Mandalorian season finale, season 2? Oh my god, I was screaming at my television,
Yeah, that was epic.
That's how you bring someone back
again, because look who's in charge of that. We have Fellini and Favreau.
Yeah, that was brilliant,
right? And knows the fans. And that's what the fans wanted.
Yes,
they don't want to see our heroes old and decrepit and dying. That's not what we wanted. It's not what we wanted.
In the next movie, he had some good. Like I liked when he tossed the saber, and he had some good. There were some good moments. But
the second movie, okay, let's talk about what's that one called now.
I don't remember any of the names of. I only remember the first.
What is the name of the second movie? That's so terrible. I don't even remember.
Just say sequel number 2. That's fine.
Sequel number 2, episode 8. I guess it is, right?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes.
Yeah. So the ridiculousness of that whole movie was the whole thing was a chase. They were being chased by the dreadnought, and they were just barely staying ahead of it. Remember, that was the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's a whole maneuver.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. So their whole plot point is at the end of the movie when they have no ships left. They have one ship. They're all blown up except for the one ship. They finally get this brilliant idea that they're going to turn this one, or everybody's going to get out in the escape pod or whatever. They're going to turn this thing around, or shuttles, and then have it go light speed into the dreadnought because even a small particle at light speed.
Yeah, Laura Dern.
Yeah. Why didn't you think of that first and maybe like everybody get off one ship? And
because he needed it for the movie to happen.
Exactly.
Also,
to me, that's a giant plot hole, though.
It's a huge plot hole.
I mean,
and the fact that she wouldn't take a moment to tell Poe what she was doing, and he was getting so mad at her.
Right. He was getting in trouble. Exactly.
Take a minute to tell him what you're doing. It's a suicide run. I gotta go.
What kind of an admiral wears a dinner dress as she's commanding?
Yeah. The other fun fact about Laura Dern is if you watch, you can see this in the movie. Every time she was firing a phaser or the pistol, she'd go pew pew. And I guess on set they're like, Laura, don't say pew. But she couldn't stop saying pew. And if you watch it, it's in the movie. Watch her mouth. She goes.
I don't know if I could bring myself to watch that movie.
The other thing we needed that I hated, that this is something that's bad about us, that we needed to have happen is we needed to blow the ship, or we needed to get attacked and have the ship blow up so that Leia could force fly her way through space.
Yeah, that was weak.
What was that?
I don't know. That was just to show her that she was force sensitive.
Yay! We knew that already.
Well, the other thing, the beginning of that movie, remember they're like bombing a ship with like bombers, and they're dropping bombs like.
Oh yeah, Rose's sister's bombing.
The bombs are just falling out. I'm like,
there's gravity.
It's space. It needs gravity to fall. And I've gotten into arguments online, and people are like, "Well, they're being pushed out." And I'm like, if you watch it, it doesn't look like they're being pushed out.
It looks like they're dropping. Yeah,
it looks like an old World War II movie film from they're dropping out of a B-17's belly. And to me, that was just the most ridiculous part of it. I'm like, there was no reason to do that. You could have easily made it like as they went out, the little kind of like, remember when the beginning of Empire, when the very first scene, and we see the probes come out and they go.
Oh yeah.
Do something like that. I mean, it's just. It's just
Or just show that they have engines or propellers or some
something to make
guidance
it
system. That's
just
all I'm
something.
asking. Yeah.
Yeah, make it look. So that
Jefferson doesn't.
irritated me.
Yeah, exactly. Jeff said, doesn't Mary Poppins belong in Star? You mean when Leia flew? Yeah. No, Mary Poppins is only for the Guardians of the Galaxy. And Mary Poppins, y'all. Was the pew a signal that the movie stunk? No, well, maybe, possibly.
Again, I have nothing against Laura Dern or any of the actors.
No, nothing. Yeah, I
It's
enjoy
a
Oscar.
poorly written script, and it just had too many plot holes in it, and it was just there for action, and it's just
Finn. I thought Finn was going to be somebody. Like I thought he was going to be somebody, and they like wrote his character.
He's
off.
almost like comic relief. Like he's kind of this dopey.
Remember, he was promoted heavily when that movie was first announced. He was always popping up, and you were like, "Oh, Black Stormtrooper," and he popped up like, "Oh, he's going to be so interesting." And then no.
Yeah, he really didn't.
In the last movie, he kept saying, I got to tell you something. I got to tell you something. I got to tell you something. He never tells her. I'm pretty sure it's that he was force sensitive, but he never tells her. Yeah. Julian and Julian's talking about, how ships fly. We did a show on that. The Expanse wins for how ships fly through space. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we've actually had Doug Drexler who worked on Battlestar on the show, and he explained how that works, how they were changing. Yeah, there's no question about it. Like, again, and I don't have a problem. Again, it's Star Wars. And George Lucas has even said, because there's always been like there's been another argument about, if you're in an X-Wing and they say eject, remember leaving the first one, Porkins is going to crashing and he's saying, they're going to eject. He's like, I can hold it. Well, if you eject, they're like in a suit that doesn't have any kind of space. So
there's no ejecting.
So people have been like, well, the whole cockpit comes out as a unit, so you're inside the cockpit.
Although you could say the same about the old school, the old Battlestar Galactica and the Vipers. Remember those lit helmets they had?
Yeah, it was the same thing, but they never even implied ejecting out of them.
But they never said there was ejecting.
No, so the thing was, so George Lucas has actually addressed that argument. He said, look, if I decide there's air in space, there's air in space.
And you know what? Honestly, I kind of am okay with that.
That was my point when I said at the beginning of the show was it doesn't follow any laws of physics. The bombs dropping.
Space Wizard.
That was kind of a
shut up and enjoy your space wizards having a sword fight. That's what we're watching, kids.
Right, exactly.
Just roll with it.
It's fancy.
Yeah, Leia flying through. I mean, the sequels. There's so much Leia flying through space. I was going to move on to like Rogue One and Han Solo story.
Well, we didn't talk about the
last.
Why
are there so many Death Stars? Why do we keep building Death Stars?
Well, I suspect. Okay, here's my theory. The first one, of course, they built. We saw that Rogue One, and then I suspect while they were building that one, they were already laying the keel, so to speak, for another one, which ends up being our Return of the Jedi one that's not quite finished. Yeah. So they were already building more than one.
Chris is yelling at us.
It's a movie.
We know, Chris. We know.
We're aware of the fact that. But the thing that got me is the whole Death Planet where it could shoot and blow up entire solar systems. We had to up it. Where do you go from blowing up a planet? Well, I guess you got to blow up the whole solar system.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got to blow. Yeah. Julian's asking, why do I have a single point of failure? That is kind of quasi addressed in Rogue One because Jyn Erso's dad, I think, deliberately built it in. Like he deliberately
created that movie to explain that.
Yeah, they literally created an
based on why there was
movie,
an exhaust port.
Rogue One, to explain the exhaust port. And you know what? Here's the thing: Rogue One was one of the better movies.
Rogue One. Okay, I have almost
Solo and Rogue One. Rogue One every time.
Negative to say about Rogue One.
I've no, 10 out of 10, no notes.
So when I saw Rogue One, it's the only movie since Star Wars that I've seen in the theater more than once.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Out of any movie. It was
seamless. It was seamless to tie back into A New Hope.
It fit in perfect. It had the same. It gave me the same feels as the original trilogy did.
Yeah,
and I think whatever they did worked. And I don't know why, but it just gave me the same feels. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for that high again. And I wasn't getting it with anything else they had done up until that movie.
Oh, Julian said, yeah, once they found the weakness in A New Hope, once they exposed that weakness, you think they would have covered that shit up. No.
Well, they didn't because they didn't use the same method to get the second Death Star. They flew
That's
into
true. Or Star Killer Base. That's true, I suppose.
Star Killer Base.
Star
was the
Killer
point,
Base,
but-
you
but
get
yes,
to fly around inside.
That's what we're talking about. They just remade the first movie again.
Yeah.
That's just, you know.
I hate that. I don't like when it's bigger on the inside. We've had Star Trek issues with that too.
Right. Well, it's the target.
Anyway, let's stick to what's worse, because we will be all over Rogue One next week when we do the best of Star Wars.
That is true.
And we will probably be all over stuff like Bad Batch, Clone Wars, Rebels. We'll be all over that stuff.
We haven't really talked about the TV shows.
We haven't, but you know what? Honestly, they're not that bad. Like to me, they're going to be.
I know people. A lot of. I think Obi-Wan gets a lot of criticism.
The Kenobi show got dumped on. The Ahsoka show got dumped on.
The Ahsoka show just was, to me, the biggest problem with the Ahsoka show is it just was kind of
Ahsoka.
It just wasn't the story was a little harder to kind of grasp around, like
the Boba Fett show
characters were.
Yeah.
Especially if the problem with it, I think, is partly Ahsoka is if you didn't watch Rebels, you were definitely lost.
Yeah, if you didn't watch Rebels, you did not know what was going on in Ahsoka. You're right, Julian. Andor was awesome. The Mandalorian was awesome. Boba Fett was
Boba Fett again.
Boba Fett we can include in this show tonight.
Let's talk about Boba Fett, the TV show, because again, that was another one I was very excited for. We all love Boba Fett. The two biggest mistakes they made in Boba Fett. One is they spent way too much time on his backstory of what happened after the Sarlacc pit and how he ends up back.
Yeah, when he's
with where he's hanging out with the Tusken Raiders. And
the Tusken Raiders, yeah.
That was totally not necessary.
What was that
you could have put that in a half an episode and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Why it dragged on. The second mistake they made is they basically neutered him. He was supposed to be a badass, and he kind of became, well, I'm going to be this good guy now.
I'm the good guy now.
And then
the
other side thing is they basically all of a sudden the Mandalorian comes in halfway through the season, and now it's the Mandalorian.
It was like the Mandalorian episode for like 3 episodes. The Mandalorian show, like the Mandalorian completely took over for like 3 episodes, and then it kind of
wait a minute, what happened with
that? Was weird, man. That was really weird. Although I believe there was a Boba Fett episode in Mandalorian too, so it kind of.
Well, he shows up at the end. Well, not the end, but towards the end of the second season.
3rd, I think. The second season.
Right when the Razor Crest gets blown up. Around that. That's
somewhere in there. Oh yeah. Well, when was the whole argument about the? No, see now I'm getting all mixed up in my head. All right, whatever. Not important. Yeah, Boba Fett it disappointed so many fans. It disappointed a lot of viewers. Everyone was criticizing it, and I think the criticisms were justified. It was not in keeping with the character. It was a little tone deaf to the rest of what was going on with Star Wars, and it just didn't. I don't know, man. It didn't fly.
Yeah, I don't know, this whole thing. I guess that he took over the city, and he's like now the big crime boss, I guess. But he was like,
Jeff, I'm okay with Tamura. I really like Tamura.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the actor.
He was fine. It was what he was given to do.
I think it was the writing of that show that was kind of just weak, and I think that they just wasted a lot of the episodes on this backstory for him for no reason. I don't think it was. I think it's great that we did find out what happened, how he got. He crawls out of the Sarlacc, he kills it, he's burnt, and wounded and all that, and that they did take from some of the novels, of how he got out of that he lived. But again, the whole thing with the Tusken Raiders and all that stuff just
unnecessary.
I don't think it needed 3 episodes of it.
No, it really didn't.
No,
it really didn't.
So, and then
we kind of need for Boba to be a badass. Like we kind of need for him to be.
We want him to be kind of a badass. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not a Mandalorian per se. He doesn't follow the Mandalorian.
No, he's not a Mandalorian. He's not a clone trooper. He's a bounty hunter, for Christ's sake.
No,
exactly. Have him be a bounty hunter.
Yeah. So
bounty hunter with the heart of gold.
So that just wasn't great. But yeah, Andor is good. I don't have a lot of negative stuff to say about Andor.
10 out of 10, no notes for Andor.
That's the grown-up. We call it the grown-up Star Wars.
Grown-up Star Wars, yep. Grown-up Star Wars for grown-ups.
We're going to get another season of that.
I hope so too.
Yeah, that was a good story. And again, it played off of kind of where we're leading with Rogue One. So what else have we not covered? The cartoons are great. I don't have a lot of negativity other than there's always the fluff in here.
Yeah, Ahsoka got flack. Ahsoka got criticism.
Ahsoka my biggest criticism with Ahsoka was that it just the story for some reason didn't gel right to me. It just was taking too long. There wasn't enough action. There were good action scenes, but it was like if you didn't know who Ezra Bridger was, if you don't know who
none of that would have meant anything.
If you don't know even who Hera is, you need to know those characters for that show to make more sense. And I think that's what hurt it. I think a lot of people just never watched Rebels.
Yeah.
Unless you're a hardcore Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
So, and I watched it probably because I think a lot of you guys, I had never watched Clone Wars until maybe a few years ago.
Yeah. I remember telling you, like, you need to watch this. And you were like, it's a kid's show. And I was like, you need to watch this.
Yeah. And I was wrong. Well, the first couple seasons, I was not wrong.
No, you're right. It starts rough. It starts really rough. The movie,
there's a movie
actually that's quite poor. And then that first season's rough, but then it goes from there.
Yeah. Because
no, Ahsoka was like too zen. Like she
Julian,
was just,
you're right.
Like, Rosario played her really chill.
They also screwed. Julian's right. They screwed Thrawn up. They used the actress.
Julian says fat Thrawn. We've spoken.
I agree with you. That's not the Thrawn that I had imagined when I read Heir to the Empire back in the early '90s when it was written, when it was first released. First of all, I love those books. They were so good. And you had this image of, and I think the image I had, they did nail on the cartoon, on Rebels. What you saw there, that was the image. But then when you get to see Ahsoka, and you're right. He's got this pot belly. He doesn't look very intimidating. He's not tall enough.
It's one of the Mickelson brothers. I can never remember which one.
Mistake because I think he liked bringing in the voice actors because he did that with what's her name, Starbuck there.
Katie Sackhoff.
For Katie Sackhoff.
Bo-Katan.
And she worked perfectly.
She did a great job.
She did a great job, but I don't think the actor that did Tron should have been. No, they should have
Probably not.
They should have got.
I can never remember. It's either Mads or Lars Mikkelsen. I can never remember which one.
I'm trying to think of a good actor that would have been a good Thrawn.
Oh, tall, thin, and robotic looking. Not robotic, but can wear the blue and still have strong
maybe blue. Well, I don't know. I was thinking John Hamm, rather, not James. John Hamm.
John's a little. I don't know, man. John's.
Yeah, he's got the height. I don't know if he could pull it off. More I think about it.
It needs to be thin enough to be kind of scary, like thin and wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the what's his name there? I'm trying to think of
Let me just look at my notes to see as the clock winds down.
Well, it doesn't really matter. I'm just saying they could have picked somebody else that was more imposing.
Continue. Yeah, exactly. I don't have anything else on any of the shows. I hated Rose saving Finn back in the sequels. I hated in the Han Solo movie, like having to explain his name and his dangle dice and like.
Oh yeah, did we?
I didn't even talk about that.
My biggest, I don't know. I didn't really mind Solo overall. It
was okay. It had some stupid things.
I think Opie Cunningham saved it. I would have I think I heard it was really bad before he got in there and kind of re-edited it and reshot a lot of it.
Yeah.
I think what they should have done is held off on that movie because Julian Glover was awesome as Lando.
Yes, not Julian.
Donald. He played perfect. He was a good cast. I think, honestly, though, I think what they should have done is waited till like now to make that movie and just deep faked Harrison into that whole thing and got rid of the original actor, and it would have been fine.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
So, but other than that, I didn't really mind the story overall. So that movie, I give it like a kind of a meh. Like I'll watch it if it's on or something.
Yeah.
So,
but it's no Rogue One.
It's not Rogue One. No. And we'll talk about that next week. Why was Rogue One so good? We'll talk about that.
Amelia did a good job, but I don't know where her character is going. Donald Glover, guys. Julian. Oh, I see. I was okay. So I was
okay. Julian Glover's the one. I'm sorry. You're right. Donald Glover. You're right. I'm sorry.
Or you could also call him the Childish Gambino, whatever you want.
Yeah.
The guy that playing Han, he worked hard to get some Harrison Ford isms, and I thought he did. I thought he did do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did. I'm not picking on the actor. I'm just saying if you had to do it again, I think it would have worked so much better if you could have deep faked a young Harrison Ford in there.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it would have worked really well. I would have left Glover as Lando.
Yeah, I would have. Oh yeah, leave Glover as Lando. He rocked.
Yeah, he is such a good actor in so many things. I always like
He
him.
does everything. Everything he does is perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, we're at the hour. So I guess that kind of wraps it up.
Yeah, we are at the hour. But yeah, no, it's gonna be kind of the same conversation. Not really the same. Next week, everything we
we'll
love.
go through it again, but it's gonna be a love fest.
It's gonna be a love fest next week. Come back and tell us what you like.
So if we can put an hour of negatives, we're not gonna need like 2 hours of positive.
Oh, we're gonna need positive because we love everything. Roy is doing Saturn 3. If you guys remember that movie Saturn 3.
Yeah, Farrah Fawcett and
Yes.
God, I can't think of the actor's name there.
Neither can I. So if you guys want to check out Roy's tie-dyed sci-fi Friday night, they're doing Saturn 3.
Kirk Douglas. No,
not Kirk.
No, not Kurt. His son.
Michael.
The father. Michael. No, Michael Douglas.
No, Kirk's the father. Michael's the
Kurt,
son.
It is Kirk Douglas, isn't it?
It's Kirk. Yeah.
It's Kirk. Okay, I'm right. Yeah.
Tomorrow on WUSB Stony Brook, Captain Phil welcomes Rizzo and I. I will be on in the 3 o'clock hour to talk to a musician, and then Rizzo will join us, and we're going to talk Trek Condoroga. Our big guests this year are Jonathan Frakes, LeVar Burton, Walter Koenig, and Clint Howard, talking about Opie Cunningham. Clint Howard will be with us, so we will be on WUSB to tell you all about the cool stuff coming for Trek Condoroga, which is like 2 weeks away, and
I know. Can you believe it?
Freaking out.
Can you believe it?
I'm freaking out, man.
So anyway, yeah, that's all good stuff. So listen to us tomorrow. If you're in the Manchester area on Saturday and you feel like getting a free comic book, stop by Double Midnight Comics.
And enjoy the 501st.
And come say hello to the 501st and Rebel Legions.
And if you haven't got your Trek Condoroga tickets, get on the website and get them now.
Get them now before and then we got Shatner in July.
And then we have Shatner coming in July. So StarTrekTour.com. Check it out.
Okay. All right, guys. On that note, we'll say good night. Thanks, everybody. Live long and prosper. And, of course, may the force be with you always.